Wow, what a model. Hey guys, this is Nick from Beer and Bat Reps, and today I'm going to be showing off all the new AOS Undead models from the new Cursed City release, as well as a few other little glimpses they've shown us of things to come. So we're going to start off with the Vargskier. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that horribly, but basically it's the new Varghulf. I feel like it might be a little smaller. The base looks a little smaller than the Varghulf model, but it is awesome. It's about half vampire, half wolf. It really hits home as one of the few things in Warhammer that actually look kind of scary. I always thought there's the Forge World Night Haunt Morngul model that actually looked a little bit frightening. Most things in Warhammer do not come across as frightening. They're usually pretty cartoonish with far too large of heads and hands and just look fantasy. But this thing, it kind of hits that uncanny valley of like it could be a real just nasty thing out in the woods. I love it. I'm getting almost like Wendigo vibes. I'm definitely getting Wendigo vibes from this. I've seen a lot of people already online in the comment section demanding a paint tutorial on how to paint it like this. It just looks terrific, and it's just the start of all the awesome new undead models coming. So then you have these three. Virkos Bloodborne. So great. I love that bases are just getting better and better and more dynamic. These models look like so much fun. I mean, I hope they each have their own unique abilities, or it might be a unit. It's really hard to tell. Just the swords look great. The poses are great. The sculpts are great. I really love the one on the right that's on the side of the pillar, kind of hanging off of it. These are home runs. I think using the fur as a loincloth, it's funny because they don't want to have, any kind of private parts in Warhammer models, but it still works. It works great. I love that their feet are very bestial. These aren't the aristocratic vampires who wear gowns and go to masquerade balls. These are the hunters of the night, and they're coming for blood. I love it. I cannot wait. Wow, these look great. So I also wanted to bring back the pictures from maybe a month ago of the vampires that they released, because I think it all really fits in perfectly. Kind of shows you the method and the sculpts that they're going to be doing for the new vampire counts when it does drop as a full army for AOS. For now, they're releasing it with things like Cursed City and Underworlds, but you know that the same sculpts, the same design team will be doing a full-fledged AOS army. I've been playing Warhammer since I was about 8 years old, and when I was a kid, there was nothing cooler than vampire counts. So I can't wait. I mean, they used to have all these different factions of vampires for the vampire counts. You had like the aristocratic ones, like the guy in the picture there, the Von Karsteins, and then you had the blood dragons, which were more combat oriented. You had the Strigos, which were kind of the flesh eater courts. You had the Lamians, which were like the aristocratic female vampires that would go to balls and entice men to their doom, basically. I hope they bring all that back. That was all the best lore. And these models, it seems like Warhammer models just get bulkier and bulkier, and they went the other direction with this release, and I'm loving it. They're all proportionate. They're all thin. I mean, look at her. They didn't go bulky models. They went super just athletic, and they just look great. She looks great. I can see people wanting that model to convert it for like Drukhari and 40k. There's all kinds of things you could do with these models, but if you're an AOS fan, I think this looks 10 times better than even any of the Night Haunt range or the Legions of Nagash range. Even though a lot of that stuff is old, these new sculpts are just incredible. These 4 vampires specifically have so much character. I really hope there's a novel that comes out and each one of them have their own name and backstory, because they just look like so much fun. You got the female vampire that I showed just a second ago. You got the Von Karstein looking one at the beginning. You got this guy who looks kind of radical. He looks like a troublemaker. He's the one flying around and smashes you on the head with his mace. and his face and hair just give him kind of a look of recklessness, which I like. And then we come to the last one. Oh, my favorite. The stance is perfect. The armor plating is perfect. The weapon is amazing. It looks long and heavy, but also well balanced. I love the giant tusks that he has on his armor coming on either side of his head. His head itself is just subdued and not over the top. He just looks like one of the four. I mean, they could each easily have their own backstory. Even if they never went forward with making a full AOS army of these guys, I already plan on getting these four and just running all four as vampire lords in a blight haunt army. So, oh man, just so good. Even a little dagger on the side. I mean, it just looks great. Definitely comment down below which of these have been your favorite of all these new vampire releases. I could see the girl being a lot of people's favorite with her awesome hair and awesome swords. The first one that looks more like a Von Karstein is perfect, but for some reason I just really love this guy's stance and his gigantic great mace. Just so cool. The troublemaker looking one, as I called it, with the wings, so much fun too. I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. And then we come to the latest vampire that was just released today, this morning actually, from Cursed City. Radukar the Wolf. So great. I mean, you really get a Kislev feel. Those of you who are new to Warhammer in the AOS world, Kislev was almost a Russian country way back in the world that was. It was the first wave of defense against the Chaos Wastes up north. And they had like Lancer horse knights, and they had just lots of these tall furry hats and wolf pelts, and they were just the warriors of the north that were the first line of defense against chaos. And we're getting a kind of a glimpse of that, but a vampire, which is so awesome. I love the idea of ice cold vampires. It reminds me of, 30 Days of Night. You get these creepy vampires that love blizzards. And it's a great model. I've already seen people in the comments today talk about wanting to convert it for Space Wolves. It's probably going to be pretty small. I'm guessing that base is a 32 millimeter. So might be a little small for a Space Wolf, but that cloak is truly great. That is so good. His sword is good. His face is great with the fangs sticking out. I like his belt all loose and looped through. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a good another good one. I'm telling you guys, you're gonna hear me say great a lot, but a lot of these have just been home runs. And we come to another one of the models that was showcased like a month ago, Gorslav the Gravekeeper. I mean, if this is the direction they're going with Flesh Eater Courts, sign me up. It's so creepy. You know, don't even look at the artwork next to him. Just look at the model. I mean, I'm really getting almost like like the freaks in Mad Max that are just like chained to the back of like semis and monster trucks. It just looks great. And another one, just like the first picture I showed you, that actually looks kind of scary. I mean, it looks like something from a horror movie in all the best ways. And we did not quite understand about a month ago what the heck was coming out of the ground under his foot, but now we get a glimpse. So let's take a look at this new unit. It has finally been revealed what that was on his base. The Dead Walker Zombies. So I'm guessing from the fluff that they knew in this land the dead rose out of the ground quite often, so they put them directly under the gravestones and tied it to them somehow, or used some kind of spear to go through the ground into them, so that when they did eventually come out of the ground, they had these real heavy things on their back to kind of slow them down. That's my guess. I really have no idea. There's been a lot of speculation on the internet, and also a lot of back and forth on whether or not these are actually good models. Clearly the detail is awesome. I mean, you could have a field day with highlighting and dry brushing and ink washes, but the models they're different. We'll put it that way. I mean, they need to be very slow on the table because they have giant chunks of masonry on their back. But they clearly had a lot of fun, the design team, with this one. Please post down below if you like these models. These are some of the only ones that I'm on the fence about. But I'll just be buying the whole Cursed City box, so I'll still be getting, 10 of these probably. And here are some more winners for me. If you play AOS, depending on how you build your lists, but I always like to have a couple little skirmishing harassment units for either sitting on a backfield objective and just trying not to cost very many points as they hold an objective all game, or hitting the flanks, maybe being a harassment unit, flanking unit, maybe get in the way of an important unit so that sort of a speed bump. I mean, cheap, fast units are always going to be good in Warhammer. And bat swarms are always going to be in my list somewhere. Now, the bat swarms of the past have been pretty terrible models in my opinion. So I've always been looking into the Lord of the Rings miniatures game for their bat swarms, which look really great. It's like a little tornado of bats. But now we have these, and they look just fine. They will do the job just great. They have more of these little pillars. They have melted candles. You know, it's not very many bats per base, but when you group them all together, it'll look like a nice little bat swarm. So it does the job. All right, what do you guys see here? Because I saw some arguments online whether these are undead orcs or undead ogres. Really, the base size is going to tell us. Either that rat next to his boot is gigantic, or these are orcs, not ogres, in my opinion. They kind of have the green skin, so I feel like GW is trying to give us a hint here. But man, the Kosargi Night Guard. I'm hoping we get more than 2, but man, these sculpts are amazing. Undead orcs, guys. It's pretty awesome. And they still have that Keslev uniform on. So you could slap these on square bases and have told me that this was for the new Warhammer Old World that they keep hinting about, and I would have believed you. These look great, and they bring back old nostalgia from when I was a kid, when Keslev armies were a thing, and you could have like a leader on a bear and lancer units. But I'm liking these. Nice big axes. The one in the back, his mouth looks hilarious. Giant beard on an orc. I assume it's an orc. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. If anyone knows any more info than me, please post it down below. And these new skeletons that they hinted at about a month ago, they showed us a couple of them. I personally think they look amazing. I've seen some people complain online that they look like what runway models do when they get to the end of the runway before they turn around. And now I can't unsee that, but still the best skeleton sculpts I've ever seen. There's also that Underworld's skeleton unit that came out, I don't know, a year ago that I would add to this because they look great too. And I've seen people argue about or complain about the cloaks, the tattered cloth. I think it looks incredible and really adds to the dynamic feel of the models, but people point out that they're going different directions. So in terms of wind, it's hard to make a unit where their cloaks are blowing different directions. But I just think of a wind, when the wind like whips around. I mean, I'm sure at some point someone has seen, I don't know, a flag on a flagpole just kind of spazzing out, going left and right because the wind is just whipping around. I'm just picturing all this hitting at once with some rain, maybe some thunder and lightning, and it's just whipping their stuff blowing all over the place. Should they have made it all go the same direction? Yeah, probably. But just buy a bunch of them and have one unit where the wind's blowing left and one unit where the wind's blowing right, I guess. I think they look amazing. I'm definitely... Well, when I thought they were selling this all individually, I would have said, oh yeah, I'm definitely buying these. Now that I know it's all in one box, it's amazing. I'll be buying at least one box. If they make actual units for AOS out of all these awesome things I've been talking about, then yeah, I might be buying more than one box. And here are the rest of them with their spears. I mean, the 10 all put together are going to look terrific. The Ulfenwatch. So cool. The shields look great. The helmets. I mean, I've seen these with a white background, and you can see the white background through some of their mouths when they have an open mouth. I mean, the design team has done a flawless job, and I mean, thinking of the monopose skeletons that I grew up with, I always feel like the models get better at about the same rate that like video game consoles are getting better graphics. So I just think of it like that. Warhammer's graphics are getting better. And I mean, I know some of it is they're trying to combat 3D printing, so they need new models to be as detailed as possible so that it's hard to 3D print. But keep it coming. As someone who loves to dry brush, make it as detailed as you can because it makes dry brushing easier. These are going to be so much fun to paint. And we have the leader that we've seen. Now we have a name. Watch Captain Halgrim. A skeleton with an eye patch. It's so funny. But he looks great. He's got his wicked curved sword and then also a halberd that he leans on. And his stance just looks like he has no muscles to hold his body up, which makes sense. It looks unnatural, but also looks realistic with the wind blowing. It's perfect. It's great. I can't wait to see what kind of rules they give it for AOS. And now we get to the glorious new White King. So, wow. They really, really are trying to make him look like the old, super old school metal Warhammer White King models. They didn't try anything new with the armor. They kept the awesome medieval armor plating, but just gave him a new horse with a great stance. I mean, it's epic. It's everything you would want from a mounted White King to lead your death rattle. So I'm going to read this directly from the Warhammer community. Flee from terror from the night, from the White King, sorry. This is the White King, although you can paint him in any color you like. Tongue-in-cheek joke there. And he's not coming alone. Accompanying him are the numberless hordes of the death rattle. The necromancers are hard at work as we speak, preparing the legions of the undead to march to war later in the year. So there you go, guys. There's the exact, from GW, hint that they are making this into a full-blown army. And I cannot wait. I'm on board 100%. If you follow any of our battle reports for AOS, you know that I already have a Night Haunt army. But, you know, at some point you want vampires and you want skeletons. And I'm ready for it. I didn't want to buy a bunch of the old monopose skeletons. I'm ready for these new ones. And these new vampires are amazing. It's all so, so good. It's so good. Now, I didn't go over the good guys of Cursed City, the quote-unquote good guys of Cursed City, but I do want to show one model because I think for conversion purposes, you're going to see it in a lot of different types of armies, even in 40k possibly. But let's take a look at him. Yeah, I don't know what the heck he is. I just know that I like it. The wispy beard that goes all the way down. The completely empty, almost like soulless black eyes. There's no eyes in there. His awesome curved wizard staff. He's just got books. He's got 3 different books. He's just an old man that came from the library that has no eyes, so they're braille, hopefully. And I can see this being like in so many conversions in the next few years. It just has that amazing look to it that I can see people converting for 40k, for a number of different armies. I mean, I kind of want it just to convert to be a necromancer for the undead army. I mean, he already fits the part, but they had him listed with the good guys, so I have no idea what it is. If anyone knows the name of this, please post it. I'm dying to learn. That being said, look how tiny the base is. I mean, this is a tiny, spindly, fragile little model. I mean, that skull looks pretty good size on the base compared to him, so it's a very, very tiny model, but another one on the long list of models that I cannot wait to paint in the next year. Okay, if you've made it this far just hanging out with me talking about new models, suddenly you're looking at Bellacor's chest. At the end, surprise, a Bellacor reveal. And it has nothing to do with the undead, but I really just wanted to talk about it. I love Bellacor. I've had his model forever. I used to run him all the time back in the day in 40k and Warhammer. And to see a total shock, surprise glimpse of Bellacor, the first Demon Prince. Oh, so good. So you got this super detailed chest, then it cuts to this incredible flaming sword that some master painters are going to have just going to have a field day painting this. I mean, I'm excited, and I'm not even an amazing painter. I mean, there's so much you can do with wet blends with that, different colored flames, different colored sword for the actual material of the sword. I mean, there's just a lot you can do. And then when it cuts to the picture of his base, you can see that the matching flame is spilling from the chest of the Chaos Warrior. And it also kind of shows you that Bellacor is out for vengeance against all races, including Chaos. I mean, he clearly struck down one of his own Chaos Warriors. Also, look at his foot in the background. I get a real, like, Velociraptor, Jurassic Park looking foot back there. Also, the size of that foot kind of tells you, in comparison to the dead Chaos Warrior, how big they're going to make the new Bellacor. And yes, they haven't come out and said it's Bellacor, but they've said the first Prince of Chaos. He has the exact wings that Bellacor always had, the same chest that Bellacor always had, and we'll get to those wings here in a second. If any of you have ever had the model or played against it, you'll recognize those wings right away. It's just like from the original. So a lot of the comment section that I've seen around the internet today since they released this are people praying that it's a kit where you can also make a new demon prince out of it. So all the greater demons also have a named character version of each greater demon. So they just naturally assume that you'll have a demon prince kit that also makes Bellacor. But I could see this being a standalone kit as well, because you look at like Scarbrand, for example, that doesn't come in the same kit as the Bloodthirster. So I could see this just being Bellacor. There he is with his awesome finger pointed forward. Looks like the One Ring from Lord of the Rings. So thank you for just hanging out with me today, guys. We're just talking about the new Warhammer releases. I am loving these new Undead. This is Nick from Beer and Bat Reps. Please comment down below. I love chit-chatting with you guys. If you're a fan of vampire counts, let me know. This is Nick from Beer and Bat Reps. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. Tune back in, guys. We got battle reports coming out soon. Later.